Radhe Sahana bhavatu Sahana punattu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant verses 11 to 20, chapter 8, Bhagavad.
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहम् स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेताः सततम् यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्मः दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्ताम् देवोरात्रविदो जनाः अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तयः सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके भूतग्रामः स एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यस्य सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति
So Archana is saying significance of taking blessings. Archana, what is that supposed to mean? Is that a question? What is the significance of taking blessings?
Ma'am, generally when you said ki as per karma yoga, whatever you do, you will get the result. Okay. But then also, in addition to that, when we do or we start something, we go to God or, our elders, teachers and everybody for the blessing. So how it's help us, in doing that karma?
Okay. So when you write your question should be, what is the significance of taking blessings? If you just
Okay.
say significance of taking blessings, the person doesn't know what you're referring to.
Right.
Also, when you're referring to a teacher and asking a question, you have to say it politely. Okay, you can't just say, because the otherwise, it's very important in life. This is for everybody in the class. It's very important in life for us to take cognizance of the whole picture while doing something. Otherwise, it becomes a lot of taking for granted of things. Okay? The teacher is never obligated to answer any question.
Right,
So
ma'am.
if we are asking the question, then we have to know that the teacher can say, I refuse to answer the question. All right. Now, this is important for us to know because, in life, people will take us for granted. People will do that to us, especially when you are service oriented. You'll find a lot of people just taking it for granted that you would be doing many things. And if ever you get a hint that that is happening, you have to nip it in the bud. Otherwise, it will just become like, just go out of control, as we have all seen in our lives. So, therefore, every time we have a question to the teacher, to the books, to whatever, the whole, what shall I say, shishtachar has to be with it.
Noted, noted.
It is not just for the question. The more important point for us to understand always is, if we is that, when we say people are taking us for granted, we have to know what we are doing that people are taking us for granted. So there's an opportunity to bring that about. A lot of people ask in class this question. So more for that. So what is the significance of taking blessings? Uh, Firstly, it is a fact that only your karma will give you your result. Nothing else will give your result. However, it is, then what is the consequence? What do you take blessings for? You take blessings because the mind in itself is full of anxieties, worries, doubts, indecisions. It's full of all these things. So you go to God, or you go to a wise person, or you go to anyone you trust, and you say, "Bless me." And you believe that it will happen. You believe that the person. That's important. You must believe that the person can bless you. Then your mind is at rest. And when your mind is at rest, then you perform better. So when our minds are not mature enough to stand of its own accord, we take these blessings, we take a little bit of emotional support from people, that moral support. Like you have the moral support, God is always with you. Now, it's a matter of fact that God is always with you, but what you get is what you're going to do. So if you remember God and you do it, then your mind is at peace. So then you do the action better, and so you get a better result. Okay, it is not per se about the blessings we receive, it is how the inner mechanism is functioning.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So, Deepana, last week you said even being happy is a barrier to spiritual growth. Can you elaborate a bit? Mm, Reshma, this question you posted is visible, but nothing else is visible of what you have posted, if you have posted anything. Okay, so Deepa, last week you said being happy is a barrier to spiritual growth. Can you elaborate a bit? Uh, Everything, Deepa, can be a barrier to spiritual growth. Your karma can be a barrier to spiritual growth. Your happiness can be um, a barrier. Anything can be a barrier. Because what is a barrier to spiritual growth? Anything that you get involved in becomes your barrier. Even the thought of God can be a barrier to your spiritual growth. Like anything. Many people use the thought of God as a barrier. There is a famous story of a disciple of Buddha. The story goes that the disciple did everything to realize the self. Just every single thing he needed to do, he has done. Okay? And he's longing for realization. He's longing for enlightenment. And he's done everything. He's left no stone unturned. Then, having done everything that he was told to do, and still not realized the self, and longing to realize the self, one day he called all his disciples. And the story goes, he was sitting like this. He called all his disciples. They're sitting, lying down like this. He called all his disciples and he said to them, I have a confession to make. I have done every single thing that is required for enlightenment, and I have not achieved enlightenment. So I called you here to tell you that it's a fake. There's no such thing. And the story goes that as soon as he said that, he realized, because at that moment he dropped that desire for enlightenment. So anything can become a barrier to our spiritual growth. Even the desire for spiritual growth can become a barrier to spiritual growth.
So it's more about involvement in the worldly thing when you're happy that is stopping us.
In that case, yes, but it
Yeah,
could be involvement in anything, including the non-worldly, as in the desire for
I got it.
realization.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any involvement.
Yes.
So, Reshma, must one engage in all three yogas on the path, or can it be different for all individuals? Yes, Reshma. Reshma, where are you? Reshma? Okay. So, Reshma, yes, each one of us have to do all the three yogas. Yes, it is different for all also. If there is a possibility of a person being 100% intellectual, he can do only Jnana Yoga. But this possibility is merely theoretical. All of us as human beings have both body, mind, and intellect. And we very rare that you do have only intellect. Maybe like a Stephen Hawkins, nothing else is happening there but his intellect works. Maybe like that, but even that is not true because he got married and all sorts of things, so obviously he's not only an intellect. So very, very difficult to find anybody who's only one thing. So yes, everybody has to do the three yogas. Everybody will do them differently, but they all will have to do it. What does it mean? It means you engage your body to realize the self, you engage your mind to realize the self, you engage your intellect to realize the self. Why do you engage these three? Because you have only these three. If you had 2-3 other things, you could engage them also. Otherwise, you have only three things. So what else are you going to do? So yes, everybody will do all the three yogas. And yes, it is also different from it. For each person can do it differently because the combination of body, mind, intellect is different. Level of spiritual growth is different. And desire for spiritual growth is also different. So with these three with this combination, different things. Okay, as far as that is concerned, Reshma?
So in that sense, even in an individual, the degrees of all three would vary, right?
Meaning over a period of time?
Yeah, like it will not be. So it will not be like each body, mind, intellect like 33%. It could be more of one or less of another, like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone will have their own particular proportion of how physical they are, or how emotional they are, or how intellectual they are. Does modeling ourselves on other people's qualities make sense, as everyone has different vasanas? Does modeling ourselves on other people's qualities make sense? Reshma, this is a trick question because if you recognize that somebody has that quality, it is probably also a quality in some inherent sense in you as well. And in that sense, it makes sense to model yourself according to that. But if you mean it in the sense that you take any random thing and you start doing that, then that's obviously not correct. But if you see some quality in another person, which is very inspiring to you, which you feel like that should be there, then yes, it becomes like a hook that picks you up, that reminds you that you're not as good in that thing as you would like to be. So yes, in that sense, modeling yourself is good. Because the nature of it is that you only notice what you have vasanas for. Otherwise, why are you even noticing that particular quality? Like if you're noticing somebody's intellect is very good, that means you have a certain amount of intellect to be able to see that. You're noticing somebody's what should I say? Their finances are very good. You means you have a certain amount of interest in that, but you won't be seeing that. Otherwise, people have so many qualities. We are not emulating everything. Like for instance, Michael Jackson dances so well. Let's say, I don't know if he dances well, but that's what everybody says. So if he used to dance so well, and I want to emulate that, that means I have an interest in dance, right? Otherwise, why would I want that? So it's a little bit of a trick question, Reshma. You'd actually think that you don't model yourself on anyone else because you have your own vasanas, which is correct. But you're noticing some fine qualities in others. That means you have vasanas for those qualities. So in that sense, you can use it as a way of improving your own ability in that direction. Is that clear?
Okay, so just one clarification. For me, I'm assuming there is a connection between these two questions in the sense I've identified that quality in another person and it is somewhere over there in me. But I'm feeling like I'm not able to emulate it. Like somebody else may be a more action taker, but I feel I learn more by gaining knowledge. So because of what I was asking, that there is varying degrees in each person. Is it wrong for me to think that, oh, that person is taking more action, but I'm only learning, I'm not taking action? Is that comparison like, is it in the right direction or is it not correct?
That is for you to decide. That are you not taking action because you're being lazy, or are you not taking action because it's not part of your nature? Normally, if it's not part of your nature, why would you even bother? Why would you even say that? Why should this point come that somebody is taking action? So many people are doing so many things, right? We are not looking at all of them and saying that, oh, he's doing this. Like, I mean, I don't sing. So I don't look at other people and say, oh my God, they're putting in so much time in practicing singing. Thought has never occurred to me. Or people watch movies. I never watch movies, not because there's something great in not watching movies. It is not my interest. So I don't say, oh my God, that person knows so much about movies. You love movies, watch them. You don't love movies, don't watch them. Mera na lena na dena. So why am I even making that comment? It's something I have to see within myself. Am I getting carried away with that personality and therefore saying everything about that personality is good? Like many people say, my teacher wears simple clothes, so I should wear simple clothes. But the teacher likes to wear simple clothes, they wear simple clothes. You don't like to wear simple clothes, you wear no complicated clothes. What is to stop you? But suppose now somebody who has an interest in wearing simple clothes says, oh my God, everybody is wearing complicated clothes, I should go. Then what will happen is they will go to a shop like Mango or something. Mango, no, Apple, Mango.
Yes.
Mango. And then they will walk in that shop and they'll see some garment. They will not know upar ka hai, niche ka hai. What is this garment? How does one wear it? I won't understand any of it. Then they get fed up and they'll walk out. Nothing to do with it. There's nothing to react. So you have to find out yourself, what is that thing in that action which is seeming so glamorous to you? Why is it seeming glamorous? Why is it seeming like something I must emulate? Is it the person that I'm getting carried away? Is it the quality that I'm getting carried away? Is it something else that I want? This is an analysis you need to do for yourself.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Ajay, how does one be happy without getting involved in that emotion? Ajay, which Ajay Vaswani?
Yes, ma'am.
Ajay, how does one be happy without getting involved in that emotion? Um, the answer to that question is by using your intellect. That is the answer. But now, when I say use your intellect, everybody says same answer for every question. Unfortunately, yes. So what does it mean? Let's do the opposite. What happens when you don't use your intellect? So when you're very happy, if your head is not working at that point, you will start taking actions which are detrimental to your future. And same thing happens when you're unhappy. You start taking actions which are detrimental to your future. Like in Vegas, they get all excited over winning something at the casino. They turn to the girl next to them and say, "Will you marry me?" She's also excited with winning something, or she's depressed because she lost something, and they both think it's a great idea. So they just go off to the court and get married. So this is called not using your intellect when your emotions are reigning. So not getting involved in your emotion doesn't mean that you don't feel the emotion. It is just that while feeling it, you don't go crazy about it. Like one lady told me that she had a party at her mansion. They have a beautiful mansion with a lovely swimming pool, and they had this lovely party, and she was all dressed up for the party, and all the fancy people came for the party. And she was really very, very happy with the evening and a little drunk, obviously. So while she was passing the pool, everybody was around the pool and they were having their drinks or whatever they were doing in that party. She thought, this is super. It's a beautiful night. Music was wonderful. Everything was fabulous. And she was very happy with everything, her party, her mansion, her guests, everything. She was so happy that she jumped into the pool. We were all to happiness. Okay, like obviously a little drunk also, I'm assuming. Otherwise, who does that, right? She jumped fully clothed, like in her party clothes, jumped into the pool. And then people thought that something wrong happened. So other people jumped in and tried to bring her. But actually, she was just jumping in the pool out of happiness. Now you'll do things like that. So she said, then she's very sweet. She told me later, and I did that, but I thought to myself also, should I jump into the pool? And I didn't see any reason not to that time, so I jumped in. Very sweet. Uh, so it's a good idea when you're overly joyed or overly unhappy not to unnecessarily take any decision. This decision only made her look a little silly because then she, whatever they do for the party, she had to go back to her room and redo it. So obviously she was absent from the party subsequently because she had, all the good clothes and the jewelry and the makeup and all this is gone now. So hair is wet, so you know how she had to start all over again. So I don't know if you know that, but I'm sure all the girls will understand how complicated it is if you get dressed up and that dressing up has to be redone. So you're not married, Ajay, otherwise you would know how long this process takes. So you can't take decisions like that whenever you are very happy, very unhappy. People go to Shamshan also and then they get very philosophical and they start doing stuff and then they regret it later on. So how does one be happy without getting involved? By using your intellect, by making sure that by knowing firstly that I'm extremely happy, I am or extremely unhappy, and not taking any decision because you can be extremely happy at some point and somebody will tell you at that point, give me $1 million, you'll actually take it out and give it to that person because you are so happy. What is that? Honey trapping. Honey trapping is that. What do? They just make you very happy. And then when you are very happy, if you're a prime minister, then they will get some secret out of whatever they want out of you, they will get it. But how do they do it? By making you very happy. That's called honey trapping. This is what happens if you don't keep in governance of your emotions. So therefore, when you are feeling anything, step number 1, use your intellect. Means what? Be aware. I am going through like a deep emotion. I'm very happy, very unhappy, very angry, very jealous, very greedy, whatever. I should know that. I should also know that in this time my intellect is going to get colored by it. So feel the happiness, no problem with that, but don't start taking actions based on that happiness. Don't start taking decisions. People have left marriages because of a fight. People have jumped out of the window because they had a fight with their spouse. So they took it, they were very unhappy in the fight, obviously, and they took an action and they were dead. Can't do all this. So how does one stay happy without getting involved in the emotion? By using your intellect. What is using your intellect? Be aware what you're going through. Be aware that your intellect is going to be colored by what you're going through. And avoid taking decisions when there's an extreme emotion of any type. There will be times in your life there is an extreme emotion, but you still have to do it. That will require a lot of effort. So therefore, make sure you practiced enough before that time comes, because sometimes you won't have the luxury of not taking that decision. So make sure you're doing it from now, that when you're under deep emotion, you become cautious. You just become more cautious. So what happens with that is your intellect gets trained to do that. So someday when a time comes that you absolutely have to decide, but there's huge emotion, you will be able to do that properly. Okay, Ajay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So where were we? We started anything else? No. Okay. So we started last time the topic that Brahman is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. That means Brahman is beyond the manifest. What is manifest? Manifest means anything that is expressed. Anything that you can contact with your body or mind or intellect is manifest. That means your body can perceive and act. That's a manifestation. Your mind can feel emotions. That's a manifestation. Your intellect can think thoughts. That's a manifestation. But Brahman, the reality, is beyond perception, beyond action, beyond emotion, and beyond thought. Right? So Brahman is beyond all forms of manifestation, whatever that manifestation be. In our case, usually it is concepts, because we feel sure we know what Brahman is. We need to know that we don't know. The Kena Upanishad second chapter starts like that. What you have understood is not the truth. He who knows it does not know it. He who does not know it knows it. If we ever get to doing the Upanishads, you'll see like it's a full toss. Every sentence they sort of contradict the previous sentence, and you don't know what on earth is he talking about. But it's such a beautiful construct, because when you hear this knowledge, you feel so close to God. You feel like, I get it. It's so close. You feel like that. So the Guru starts, that which you have understood is not the truth. Not the truth. He who knows it does not know it. If you feel your intellect has grasped it, your intellect has no capacity to do that. You don't believe that you know it. He who does not know it knows it. Meaning what? That knowing is a thing of the intellect. A self-realized person has not grasped it to his intellect. So he who does not know it means he who is not grasping it through his intellect, he knows it. That's a self-realized soul. And then he goes further. He who knows it knows it. A self-realized person who knows it knows it. He just knows it. And then last, sixer, after all this. He who does not know it knows it. Are you just told us we didn't know it. Now how are you saying we know it? He who does not know it knows it. Means that even while we claim not to know it, since it is so inherent to us, since it is so much always with us, since that is what we are employing to know anything, How can you claim not to know it? It is the thing closest to you. So he who does not know it knows it. We know the self. In some, we know the self means we are the self, right? So how can you not know yourself? So it's Upanishads are very beautiful to sort of just try and wrap your head around it. Sometimes it's like, nahi ho raha hai. So you can't go to Upanishads until we get through. We must know the knowledge very well. Then the Upanishads will make it difficult for us so that we actually get what they're talking about. So coming back to this, Brahman is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. So world. So what is the manifest is everything that you perceive, act, feel, or think. What is the unmanifest? The unmanifest are the vasanas, the ignorance of the self, because of which you perceive, act, feel, and think. That is also unmanifest, right? That's not expressed. In other words, it's your state of deep sleep. I hope that's clear because we are going to be doing a lot of this. So please understand it carefully. The manifest is what your body, mind, and intellect does. What does your body do? It perceives and acts. What does your mind do? It feels. What does the intellect do? It thinks, it conceives, discriminates. All of this is the manifest world. What is the unmanifest world? The unmanifest world is the vasanas, the inherent personality, the unmanifest thing, which is not expressing. Like a seed and a tree. A tree is the manifest. The seed is the unmanifest. So when we are in the dream state or waking state, we are manifest. We are expressed. When we are in deep sleep, we are unmanifest, unexpressed. It is the seed state. Is this much clear to everybody? Has anybody got, is there anybody new in class today? It's so much clear. Let's see, is anybody new? Any name that I don't know? Uday Dalvi. Are you new? I don't think I've seen the name before. Uday, are you new?
Yes, ma'am. I have been attending this for quite some time.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
Oh.
I thought. All right, fine. What about Sian Bala? Are you new? Is everybody familiar with what we are going on? Is this unclear to us? Sian Bala, are you new? Or have you heard this? Please tell me, because you know everybody, every time there's apparently some new person.
Yes, I'm new, but
Okay.
I perfectly understand what you
Okay,
said
wonderful.
just now. It's so clear. I'm so happy.
Okay.
Thank
Glad to
you.
hear that. So anyone is not clear about the manifest and the unmanifest? Okay, Akhila, the last part on dream, on sleep, dream, and wakeful. Okay, so in the wakeful state, Akhila, I'm assuming you didn't understand this part. In the last part, manifest means what you can perceive and act, emote, or think. This is the manifest, right? Now, where do you perceive, act, emote, and think? You do this in two states of consciousness. You do it while you're awake now, and you do it in your sleep as well, right? You have some perception, action, emotion, and thought in your sleep as well, because you're dreaming. So when you're dreaming or when you're awake, there is some kind of manifestation on, there's some kind of expression on. But when you go into deep sleep state, what is deep sleep? The state where you don't dream, you're sleeping, but you're not dreaming. There is no manifestation taking place at all. All that you experience is like nothing. There's nothing. That is called the unmanifest. It is the state where only vasanas exist. When these vasanas start manifesting, it becomes dream, and they start manifesting even further, it becomes the wakeful state. When they close back their manifestation, we go back into deep sleep. If we talk any more of these three topics, these three deep sleep, dream, and waking, the state you all will all reach is called the unmanifest, because you all have all fallen off to sleep. Okay, all right, Akila. So now where is Brahman? Brahman is not in the waking state, means not known to us in the waking state, cannot be known to us in the dream state, and cannot also be known in the deep sleep state. That's what he's saying. That Brahman is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. Okay, so this basic should be clear as we enter these topics, because the next two topics is all about day and night. So if you don't get day and night, you get very confused. ये क्या हो रहा है, ये day और night कहाँ बीच में आ गया? So what he means by that is the manifest and the unmanifest. Okay, clear so far? So let's go forward. So this verse 15 starts that topic. So what is he saying? Mam upetya punarjanma, having reached me, punarjanma. No, don't get punarjanma. You don't get punarjanma if you reach me. What do you mean that you don't get punarjanma if you reach me? It means that if you have managed to reach enlightenment, what does that mean? That means you have gotten rid of all your desires. Since you've gotten rid of all your desires, you can not have birth. Birth is caused by desires. An enlightened person cannot gain birth because he doesn't have desires. No cause, no effect. What is the cause of birth? Desires. When the desires go, no further birth. So this is philosophically speaking. We can also understand this on the relative level, that when you don't have desires, you don't create unnecessary births in the sense of unnecessary hopes about life. Because you don't have the desire. So why would you create that hope? You hope to get money because you have a desire to get money. Now, if you didn't have that desire, then where does the hope come? When the hope comes disappointment, when you don't get the money. So that's why it says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam. Don't get the money, you get very disappointed. If you get the money, it ceases to interest you after some time. In other words, if you were earning 2,000 rupees and you were longing to earn 5,000 rupees, when you get 5,000 rupees, you're very happy. But after a few months, now you will be longing to earn 7,000 rupees. That 5,000 will no longer be giving pleasure. So it's a dukkhalayam. If you didn't get the 5,000, you'll be unhappy. What happens if you get it? Again, you will be unhappy because it will cease to make pleasure. And if you get the 5,000 and you lose the 5,000, again you're unhappy. Is there any condition under which we are going to be happy? When we have a hope, you have two choices. Either you will get it or you will not get it. If you don't get it, you're very disappointed. What happens if you get it? If you get it, you have only two possibilities. Either you keep it or you lose it. If you lose it, you're unhappy. If you keep it, what happens? You lose the pleasure. So under which condition are you going to be happy? Isn't it? So therefore he says this world of desires, hopes, longing, craving is only dukkhalayam. There's no way you're going to get happiness over here. Because under every condition you're going to be miserable. Isn't it? You can actually, if you think about this, please give it some thought, you'll understand that even if I have it, I keep it, I enjoy it, even if I'm enjoying it, I can still suffer because of it. even though I have it and I'm enjoying it. I'll give you an example for this. A wife suspects a husband of having an affair. He is not having an affair, but she suspects it. She loves her husband. She wants to be with her husband. She enjoys his company. She has her husband, in the sense he's not having an affair. She will go through all the pain of that affair in spite of the fact that no such thing is happening. So just think about that. Under which condition with desire are we going to be happy? If we have it, sometimes we lose the joy. If we have it, sometimes we believe we don't have it. Again, we lost the joy. Sometimes we lose it. Again, we lost the joy. Under which condition are we going to be happy? When? We really need to think about these questions for ourselves, because after all, it's our life, isn't it? Under which condition am I going to be happy? It doesn't look like there's any condition under which I'm happy. Firstly, I will be happy only if everything is according to the way I want. Even if one thing is not according to the way I want, I'll be miserable. Isn't it? Like now, under lockdown, many people have had a very bad time. But the rest of us have been safe. Our families have been safe. Monetarily, we were no worse than we were. In many ways, we were just fine. And yet we were miserable. Why? Because we were not allowed to go out of the house. Just that much. So though everything may have been exactly the same, just one thing was taken away from us, we're miserable. Isn't it? A person may have everything. They may be rich, they may be charming, they may be educated, they may have the best family, they may have the best pets, they may have the best house, they may have the best whatever, education, friends, cars, everything. Can you guarantee this person is happy? Suppose he starts losing his hair. That everything is okay. One thing is gone, hair is gone. Or going. Miserable. So under which condition are we going to be happy? So that's why they say you're either happy now or you're never going to be happy. Because you'll always find some reason to be miserable. And of course, there will always be a reason to be miserable. What we have to get is there's always a reason to be happy. Just as there's always a reason to be miserable, there's always a reason to be happy. It's up to us which one we want to look at. Do I want to look at the one thing I don't have? Or do I want to look at the millions of things which I do have? Now, the human mind is such, it just gets involved in the thing we don't have. Because it is the unfulfilled desire that matters to us, never the fulfilled desire. That's why he says, dukkhalayam. All your hopes are dukkhalayam. They are the abode of sorrow. Even if you say, oh, my desire will be fulfilled, then know that it is ashashvatam. If you say, no, I'm perfectly happy. I've got no problems at all. Everything is good. Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means not shashvatam, not eternal. We will all go through periods in our lives where things are all fantastic. We feel top of the world. We feel so confident. We feel we can handle anybody and anything. And we'll tell people who are not confident, oh, you should be confident, not recognizing that I am confident now because things are going okay with me. That one thing go wrong, my confidence is going to go with it. So we will also look at people and say, oh, look at that person, so confident. Reshma, these are the kind of situations where you don't try emulation. Oh, that person is so confident. I'm not so confident. That person is so confident because currently things are working like that for that person. We appear so confident to others also when things are working okay with us. Everybody looks at somebody else and says, oh, he has, she has what I don't have. So don't let's get carried away. Let's understand what's going on. All hopes are dukkhalayam, ashashvatam. But those Mahatmas whom apnoti, who have attained samsiddham. Samsiddham is siddhi is success, samsiddham, the ultimate success, perfection, the paramam, the highest success. They have gone to the highest. They have reached the highest perfection. What is the highest perfection? What according to you is perfection? Think about it. Who is a perfect person? Would you accept that a perfect person is at the physical level, has done the highest achievement? At the emotional level, at the mental level, is a completely happy person, and as the intellectual person knows everything? Would you accept that as a fair definition of perfection? If you do, then look at what the man of enlightenment has done. At the physical level, he has attained the highest. At the emotional, mental level, he is completely happy. And at the intellectual level, he knows the ultimate truth. What more do you want? So that is perfection. You're never going to be unhappy. You've attained everything that has to be attained. What more do you want? So he says, so if you do it the right way, this is where you will reach. Now, what is that state you will reach? Is what he's going to explain. That state of perfection is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. Why is he going to tell us that? Because human beings are very creative in misunderstanding the philosophy. If there's any way we can misunderstand it, we will do that one first. We will never go to the right one first. We will go through 15,000 misunderstandings before we come to the right understanding. So he very charitably keeps trying to slowly hack away at our misunderstandings. So this is what he is covering now. Okay, so verse 16. Brahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartinorjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Brahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartinorjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. O Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra, with great affection he is trying to explain to him the developed people have a great deal of affection for everybody. So with great love he tells them, O Kaunteya. Kaunteya means Kunti Putra. O Kaunteya, O Arjuna. You know, when you use the name often, it shows love, it shows affection. Because haven't you seen when lovers, they talk to each other, say, oh, honey, oh, baby, oh, whatever, something or the other, darling. No, darling, we won't do it like that. No, babe, we will, whatever. Like, oh, I'm going repeating terms of endearment, the names and all, because affection is shown like that. When you say, see what she's doing, so there's no affection. No, don't talk to her. You won't say don't talk to Purnima. You will say don't talk to her. So when you use the pronoun, it shows the lack of affection. When you use the name, it shows affection. You want to say the name of the person you love, but you don't want to say the name of the person you don't love. In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with this. The Egyptians had this belief that by taking a person's name, you keep him alive, as it were. You know, they had these elaborate things for mummification and all. You want to keep that person going. So they said to prevent immortality, you have to stop taking to prevent immortality. Do not let that person become immortal. Don't take his name. Meaning, if you take his name, you make him immortal. And that's the reason why King Tut, the Tutankhamun tomb, was forgotten, because the king after him removed all traces of his memory. So the grave robbers did not know about that. And so all the other tombs were raided and robbed. But King Tut, you know what a big treasure was found there because they prevented the taking of his name. Which just shows how we can do all sorts of things and achieve just the opposite result from what we wanted. So when you take a lot of names, it shows affection. And you don't like to take the name at all. You know, people say that. You don't like to take her name. No affection, no love in your heart. So here Krishna has a lot of love for Arjuna and he says, Oh Kaunteya. Kaunteya is another loving name because he loves Kunti. So, O Kunti Putra, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna. What is he saying? He's saying, please understand this. Brahma Bhuvanat Lokaha. Up to Brahma. Up to Brahma Loka. What is Brahma Loka? It is supposed to be the highest heaven. Up to Brahma Loka, he says, all the worlds, Punaravartinaha. Punaravartinaha. Going all the way to the highest Brahma Loka. Highest Brahma Loka means what? Going to the highest happiness that is capable in this world. You can be the most happy person in the world. Means you're in the seventh heaven. But Punaravartinaha. We come back. No matter how much joy we have received, we come back to being who we are. But having received the joy of enlightenment, there is no return. Meaning that is a permanent state. Any happiness we get in the world, what is he trying to say? What is the point of this? All the world up to Brahmaloka are subject to return, of Arjuna. But on reaching me, there is no rebirth, O Kaunteya. So what is the point he's trying to make? That no matter how happy you become in this world, it is a question of time before that happiness gets snatched away from you. But when you reach enlightenment, this is not there. You'll be happy forever and after. Which means that if we have basic head, we will understand, will I put in my time, effort, energy to get something which I know now is going to leave me? Before I start, I know that thing is going to leave me. So will I put my whole life into that? Suppose you are doing your investments and you know in one of the investments, you'll get good returns, but you're going to lose the whole thing eventually. Will you invest in that? Another return, you're going to get the return, you're going to get the capital, and it's going to be with you always. Which one will you do? Simple, basic, common sense, right? So, you want to put something in that which is going to give you, according to you, good returns. Then you'll put at least some of your time into that. Will you put your entire capital into that just to lose it? You won't do that, right? Simple, common sense. So, will you put your entire life into getting something which you have to lose? It's a given that you have to lose. Would you not at least put some of your time into some things which are permanent with you? At least some time. Which time will you put into permanent things? Which time should you put into permanent things? Minimum amount of time that you will put in permanent things is what?
Morning self-study.
Very good. Excellent, Manoj. I assume you are studying. So, at least that much. Thoda to insurance le lo zindagi mein. All 23 hours you do whatever you want. 1 hour in the morning you spend studying. At least 1 hour towards something permanent. 23 hours you can have to do whatever impermanent things you want to do. Yes, Akhila, morning time, the best time of the day. You keep for the permanent. Rest of the time, you waste your time as you like. It doesn't matter as long as you give in that. You know, isn't it? Isn't that how it works in the world too? You give a very little bit into your insurance. Rest of the money you waste also, it doesn't matter. When you need it, that insurance will help you. It would be better if you didn't waste the rest of your money. But even if you wasted it, that little bit you gave into insurance will help you. That's all he's saying. He's so practical, he's so down to earth. He's never telling us anything beyond us what we can do. Oh, is it? It's 6 o'clock for you. All right, very good, Bala. Okay, so that's clear, I think. That's fairly clear. So let's go to verse 27. Oh, sorry, 17. Okay, right? Sahasrayuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam Tehoratra vido janaha sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam tehoratra vido janaha. Yuga sahasra yuga. That means 1,000 yugas. Are you familiar with the concept of the 4 yugas, which is part of Indian mythology or Indian time structure, that there are 4 yugas? The 4 yugas are, the first one is Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga is a very long time. It's around 17 lakh years. It's a very, very long time. It goes on for 17 lakh. Satya Yuga is a very nice yoga where everybody is very good, very nice, all sattvic, all on the verge of realization. It lasts for 17,000 odd years. 17 lakh 28,000 years it lasts for. But it finishes. And then we start the Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga lasts for 12 lakh years. 12 lakh 96,000 years lasts for. Long time. It's a very good time too. It is where most people, 3/4 of the people, are very good, very nice, very sattvic. 12 lakh 96,000. Then starts Dwapar Yuga. It is said that when Krishna left this earth, that is when Dwapar Yuga got over. Dwapar Yuga lasts for 8,64,000 years. This is also not a bad yuga. Half the people are good. And then comes Kali Yuga, which lasts for 4,32,000 years. Where things are pretty bad now. Pretty bad. Which is what we are in at the moment. So if you notice something, Satya Yuga, 17 lakh years. Treta Yuga, 12-13 lakh years. Dwapar Yuga, 8 lakhs. And Kali Yuga, only 4 lakhs. So you can understand this, right? The straight away philosophy. The better it's something is, the longer it lasts. Bad things can't last. But whatever it is, even the best has to end. Now what he's telling us over here is that all these put together are 4.32 billion years. Okay, that's one Mahayuga. These 4 yugas together make a Mahayuga. 1,000 of these make a day of Lord Brahma. One day in the life of Lord Brahma. One day, our day for Brahma is 1,000 years. So if you give him at least 100 years lifespan, so how many years will he live? Interesting, no? But what has that got to do with what we are studying right now? We'll do that next time. Hari Om.
Thank you, Janki
Janki
ji.
ji.
Thank you, Janki.
Hari Om,
Thank you,
Janki.
Janki
Thank
ji.
you.
Thank you, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Janki.
Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Janaki ji.
Thank you,
Thank
Janaki ji.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janaki ji.
Thank you, Janaki ji.
Hari Om.